My reactions to Week 6 of the 2024-2025 NFL season. Uh, to start off, we had the Titans, Dolphins, Chiefs, Vikings. I think those are all the teams on bye this Week 6, or that were on bye on Week 6. The Titans, Dolphins, Chiefs, and Vikings. But let's start with the games. First game of the week. Who played the first game of the week? Oh yeah. Niners, Seahawks. Seahawks. Niners ended up beating the Seahawks by 2 possessions. Yeah, you could tell that the Niners just wanted this game more. Both teams were on a losing streak going into this game. But the Niners just played better, and the Seahawks, they had their chances. Niners went up by as many as 20 points, but the Seahawks got a massive kick return touchdown that could have given them the momentum. They forced a punt on defense, got the ball back, scored an offensive touchdown, and were within 1 possession. But from that point on, basically the Niners just went into nitro. They put their foot on the gas pedal, and yeah, they went up. They ended up winning by like 2 possessions. Geno Smith played not one of his better games. He had like 2 interceptions in the game. But overall, a great win for the Niners. The Seahawks have now lost 3 straight as they play I don't think they play next week, actually. I think next week next week they're on bye. Sunday morning football. Bears Jaguars. It was kind of a home game for the Jaguars because they're in London, but it didn't matter. The Bears just dominated the Jaguars. Caleb Williams had like 4 touchdowns. After starting the season off, the first 2 games not looking too particularly well. Has played really well as of recently, and is definitely giving Jaden Daniels a run for his money. And the Jaguars defense, they're awful. They have a bottom 5 defense. Doug Peterson said in an interview that there needs to be a culture change, which is ironic because he's the coach. Coaches set the culture change, but or they set the culture, but I don't know. Doug Peterson looks like he might get fired. The Jaguars are 1-4 now, and Trevor Lawrence, he played really well against the Colts. He played pretty well, or pretty good today. Not today, but against Bears. But he had like 2 touchdowns. Could have had like 6. Had the receivers caught the football in the end zone, but yeah, he's playing a lot better. He did make one mistake, or not really a mistake, but he whiffed on one of the passes he threw. Overshot one of the receivers. But yeah, the Jaguars are 1-4, and the Bears are 4-2, in a stacked division. Commanders Ravens. For the Commanders, they have nothing to hold their head on. They have nothing to be sad about, basically. I mean, they gave one of the best, if not the best team in the league, a run for their money in the Ravens. Took them to the wire. Ultimately, the Ravens ended up pulling out the W. Derrick Henry had another 100 yards rushing in this game. And yeah, overall, great win for the Ravens. And for the Commanders, like I said, they hung in there. Have nothing to hang their heads on. And yeah, they play the Bears next week. We'll see how that game goes between two of the candidates for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think the Ravens play the Bengals next week. Niners play the... Who do the Niners play? Are the Niners on bye? Are the Niners on bye? I don't think so. They don't play the Cowboys until like 2 weeks from now, so. But next game, Browns Eagles. The Eagles barely beat the Browns, who are one of the worst teams in football. Deshaun Watson's, in my opinion, the worst quarterback in the league, at least the worst starting quarterback in the league. I don't think he's lost talent. I just think all the off the field issues, the allegations and stuff like that have just taken a toll on him, and he just hasn't been the same player. He used to be seen as a hero with the Texans, but now he's seen as a villain because of everything that happened that may have happened off the field. I honestly don't know if what he did off the field actually happened. There were 22 lawsuits against him from women alleging that he sexually assaulted them or something. Made them give him massages. I don't know if those allegations are true or not, but it's very fishy to me that there was 22 women. Another one just came out, I think it was last month actually. But I guess in a way this is, if what happened is true, then this is karma, you know? But as far as the Eagles go, I mean, and the Browns, they have a pretty good defense, but again, the offense is just fucking atrocious. And for the Eagles, I mean, they won the game, so that's a plus, but they barely beat the Browns, like I said. And after the game, Nick Sirianni was chirping at the fans in the stadium and was talking a lot of shit. Then had the nerve in his post-game interview to bring his kids to kind of soften the blow from the reporters, but which I thought was a wimpy move, but I don't know. The Eagles might be a bad team. They got a lot of talent, but they might be a bad team because I don't trust their coach. Patriots, Texans, or Texans, Patriots. The Texans destroyed the Patriots by like 20, 41-21, I think it was. C.J. Stroud had a big game. I don't think Nico Collins played in this game. I think he's still out with an injury. But the Patriots, I mean, yeah, they lost, but at least Drake May looked good, you know? This first game starting after being drafted. And he looked pretty good. He looked like he might be the future for the Patriots, but we'll see. Thank God Belichick isn't there anymore to ruin a quarterback like they did with Mac Jones, but you know. But we'll see how the rest of his future pans out. But he looked pretty good in this game. But great win for the Texans. As far as the Patriots go, at least Drake May looked good. Colts, Titans, Joe Flacco. I think I ended up picking the Colts in this, or not the Colts, the Titans in this game, just because I thought that Anthony Richardson was going to start for the Colts. But I think I had a great week this week. Actually, I think I went like think I went like 10-3 in terms of my predictions. That puts me at like 49-42. So great bounce back week for me. But Joe Flacco had a pretty good game. I think he had like 3 touchdowns. I thought the Titans were gonna win because they looked like they were gonna win earlier on in the game, but I guess they just didn't do enough, you know. Will Levis has got a lot of talent, but I don't trust him necessarily because of I question his character, and also I don't know. He just seems to make too many boneheaded mistakes at times. Like the first 2 weeks, he threw the ball directly to the Bears for a pick six, pretty much to end the game. Week 2, he tried a backwards lateral pass to one of his running backs. Week 3, he threw another pick six. This week, he ran over the ball boy. I think I'm wondering how the ball boy is doing. I think he'll be fine, but Will Levis ran out of bounds. Ended up tackling him. But great win for the Colts, for the Titans. I can't trust Will Levis. Cardinals, Packers. Packers pretty much dominated the Cardinals. Cardinals coming off a big win against the Niners last week. Ended up getting dominated in this game. They had a chance to potentially get back in the game. The Packers went up by as many as 24-0. The Cardinals ended up scoring a touchdown, and I think I don't know. They got the extra point. Then they got the ball back. Forced a punt. They forced a turnover, kicked the field goal. It was a 14-point game, or not 14-point game. It was it was a 14-point game. It was 24-10 at halftime. Cardinals had a chance, but they just couldn't climb out of the hole that they dug themselves into, basically. And for the Packers, the whole NFC North is looking like a murderer's row of teams right now. I think this is the first time since 2000. I think I read in an article that this is the first time since 2002, since the AFL-NFL merger, that every team in the division, or every team in a division, has at least 4 wins. Our Lions didn't play last week. Every other NFC North team won. The Vikings didn't play this week. Every other NFC North team won. So it's looking incredible. But for the Packers, they have now won 2 straight. Last week they beat after having a chance to beat the Vikings, but they just couldn't beat them. And last week they beat the Rams. This week they beat the Cardinals. And the Cardinals right now, they're looking hot and cold. Kyler Murray is a great quarterback, but I don't know. For some reason the Cardinals just didn't show up in this game. Buccaneers, Saints. The Buccaneers put a 50-burger on the Saints. Ended up beating them like 51-27. The Buccaneers, they went up by as many as 17-0. The Saints tried to get back in the game. Spencer Rattler looked pretty good for a few drives, and then kind of multiply by 2, like the Seahawks, or like the Niners did against the Seahawks. The Niners, or not the Niners, the Buccaneers did twice as bad. They put the key in the ignition, started the nitro, and they ran away with the game. They ran all over the Saints. They ran all over the Saints. And yeah, Spencer Rattler really looked rattled the rest of the game, and the Buccaneers ended up running away with the game, literally. Steelers Raiders. Horrible game for the Raiders. Steelers ended up beating them 32-13. Um, the defense for the Steelers dominated again. And the Raiders just don't have a quarterback. Gardner Minshew's not the answer. Looks like Aiden O'Connell's not the answer. So they really need a quarterback. That's the thing right now. If they're able to get a quarterback, that'll really help them out in the future. And potentially change their team or turn their team around, kind of like Jaden McDaniels did to the Commanders. But yeah, they're missing a quarterback right now. Team's just not good enough. Devontae Adams just got traded. Max Crosby I think he's on the trading block actually. Their team's trying to call see if he's available. I don't think he is. But, I think Antonio Pierce is a very good coach, but they just don't have a quarterback. And when you don't have a quarterback, there's only so much you can do as a team. Chargers, Broncos. The Chargers stomped on the Broncos, or at least they were. They were up by as many as 23-0. Justin Herbert looked very good. The defense looked very good. The offense for the Broncos looked anemic. And then in the fourth quarter, they tried to come back. Ended up losing 23-16. So they made the score closer than it was. But the Broncos, they played the Saints on Thursday. The Chargers play the Cardinals on Monday. We'll see how that game goes, but great win after the bye for the Chargers, after losing the last two. And for the Broncos, they look to right the ship, basically, against the Saints, Sean Payton's former team. Lions, Cowboys. Lions just shitted on the Cowboys, 47-9. They embarrassed the Cowboys in Dallas in front of Jerry Jones on his birthday. They damn near gave that man a heart attack, honestly. And then Jerry Jones got all defensive, showed his true colors, bullied a radio host earlier today, threatened to get him fired because he was criticizing Jerry Jones. But honestly, I'm gonna say this, and I'm not gonna hold back either, because I'm not one of these radio hosts that works for the Cowboys. So I'm not worried about getting fired by him, honestly. He doesn't know me anyways, but the Cowboys stink. They got injuries right now, and even before then, they stunk. They got stomped on by the Packers. Got stomped on by the Saints. We're getting stomped on by the Ravens until they let their foot off the gas pedal, and got stomped on by the Lions. And keep in mind, not only did they get blown out, they got blown out 4 times at home. After being dominant the last few seasons at home. And what happened? After the playoff loss in which they got destroyed by the Packers, Dak Prescott had a lot of yards towards the end of the game in garbage time, basically. A lot of empty calories, like he usually does. They did nothing to address their flaws in the offseason. And Jerry Jones had the gall to say that that he was shocked by the Cowboys getting destroyed like that? Have you not been watching the last couple of games, Sherry? Your team stinks. And you're the reason why it does, honestly. Because you can't get your own head out of your fucking ass. You keep getting in the way. There isn't really a coach because you're pretty much the puppet master, and honestly, the fans have every right to boo or want to boo the Cowboys right now. Honestly, they're fucking atrocious. They are one of the worst teams in the league at home, and if not the worst, and yeah. They got a rough schedule. Their next 5 games, they could be at best like 5-7, because their next 5 games are against the Niners, the Eagles, the Texans, the Commanders. Who else am I forgetting? But yeah, they got a rough schedule. But how dare you, Jerry Jones, threaten a man's job? Why? Because you simply don't agree with what he's asking? I mean, first of all, it's his job to ask you these questions. These are tough questions. You ain't gotta like it. But if you want all the credit for your team potentially being successful, then you need to be able to take all the criticism when they stink and when people criticize them. But enough about them. The Lions, they had their way with the Cowboys. They ran right through them like a college girl in a frat house on spring break. And yeah, honestly, it was, for the most part, it was great for the Lions. Got revenge for what happened against the Cowboys last year towards the end of the season, where they got screwed by the refs, basically, which seems to happen a lot to the Lions. But there was one negative to the day. They lost Aiden Hutchinson for the year. Hopefully he comes back next year and plays even better than ever. But just a massive, massive loss for the Lions. They might need to do something before the trade deadline. Maybe see if they can get like Max Crosby or Myles Garrett, or they might have to go lower and go for a guy like Trey Hendrickson or Za'Darius Smith. But a massive loss for the Lions, despite a massive win for the Lions. They play the Vikings next week, and the Cowboys are on bye. Thank gosh for them. Not that they're going to do much better after the bye, but we'll see. And for the final game of the afternoon, because these are all the afternoon games, the Broncos, Chargers, the Lions, Cowboys, and Falcons, Panthers. The Panthers were hanging in there for a while against the Falcons. Andy Dalton and the Panthers played. Well, like I said, they hung in against the Falcons, but then the Falcons just proceeded to whoop their ass. Ended up winning by like 2-3 touchdowns, which I found shocking at the time, because the last time I checked the scores, when I was checking the scores, it was a close game, but then the Falcons ended up winning like 38-20 or something like that. But a great win for the Falcons. For the Panthers, they honestly might be one of the worst, if not the worst team in football. But yeah, Sunday night game, a real snooze fest, to be honest with you, between the Bengals and the Giants. The Giants, they had their opportunities, but too many missed opportunities. They had a few touchdowns nullified by penalties. But Joe Burrow probably had one of his worst, if not his worst game of the season. And the Bengals still won. Defense played pretty well for the Bengals and for the Giants. Both defenses played pretty well. The Bengals defense played pretty well too. But I feel like that says more about the Giants offense, because the Bengals defense, they're pretty bad. Now, granted, they might be a little banged up, but yeah, just I think the Bengals ended up winning like 13-10 or something like that. But the Giants definitely had chances in this game to win, but they just couldn't take advantage of them. And as a result, they're 2-4 now. So are the Bengals. But the Bengals, they play the Ravens next week, looking for revenge. And the Giants, they play the Eagles in New York, who got their own set of issues right now. So we'll see how that game pans out. But the last game of the week, Bills-Jets Monday Night Football. The Jets, the Bills won the game. They won the game by like 23-20 or something like that. But the Bills looked like they were going to run away with the game. Went up like 20-10. But Aaron Rodgers, vintage Aaron Rodgers, threw the fourth Hail Mary touchdown of his career to end the first half to Allen Lazard. And yeah, for the most part, the offense just couldn't do anything for the Jets. Aaron Rodgers tried to blame the receivers like he always does. But yeah, he tried to throw a ball to Mike Williams. That pass ended up getting intercepted. There was another interception that Aaron Rodgers threw to, wait, was that the one to Mike Williams where Teron Johnson ended up making an insane play? But yeah, the Bills defense stepped up and the Jets offense just couldn't get anything going. Their offensive line stinks, basically. They just traded for Devontae Adams, but I don't think that'll help them out that much because, yeah, he's a great player, but they still need to be able to block for Aaron Rodgers because he's 40 years old. He's not going to be as mobile as he used to be, obviously, especially not after that injury that he suffered, I think, last year. But yeah, the Jets are now 2-4. They got a rough game next against the Steelers in Pittsburgh and that defense. And the Bills, great win, you know. They've lost the last two. The last two games were against the Ravens and the Texans. They were pretty much losing badly in both games. Against the Ravens, they were losing badly. Against the Texans, early on, they were losing badly, but they were able to make a comeback in that game, almost won the game, but just didn't manage the game towards the end at all against the Texans. But against the Jets, they played pretty well. Josh Allen looked like Josh Allen early on. He looked very good. And yeah, the defense just stepped up, and a great win for the Bills. Great bounce back win for the Bills. And like I said, I've said it before and I'll say it again, they got a rough game against the Steelers defense next week, so we'll see how that game goes. But overall, a great week of football. Crazy week of football. And hopefully week 7 continues to be great. And yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow for my predictions.